Hi there, everyone. Namaste. I'm Jill Loftis of New at Astrology, and I'd like to use Zoom today to record this so that I can share my screen and answer a question that I received from one of my viewers about determining the different signs and where they are in your personal birth chart. So let's take a look. And I know this is because I've been saying things like, know where Aquarius is in your chart, know where Pisces is in your chart. And you're like, well, how am I supposed to know where my chart is? Now, know that you can run free charts on AstroGold, not on AstroGold, on astro.com. And they may look a little different than this, but let's just break this down and see what we're looking at. Now, let's imagine this is a birth chart. This is for right now, February 7th, 2003. Or 2023. This is the moment that I'm filming this. 5:22 p.m. in Roanoke, Virginia. So somewhere here in Roanoke, a baby's being born, and this is their chart. Now, first thing we're going to look at is the numbers on the inside of the wheel. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it goes all the way around to 12. These are the houses of astrology. So that the houses run counterclockwise. And this is the way the planetary motions are as well. The only thing that goes clockwise in the chart are the nodes of the moon, which are not actual planetary bodies, right? They're mathematical points in space that are very important, but they go clockwise. Everything else goes counterclockwise. And we begin over here on the edge of the circle because this is the east. This is where the constellation is rising, the rising sign, right? Where it's coming up. It's kind of like the energy is coming up at the moment of this child's birth. So this is east, this is west. The top of the chart is south, and the bottom of the chart is north. Now you'll see with this particular way of doing the chart, some of these houses look thinner or wider than others, and this has to do with the curvature of the earth. Okay. All right. And some astrologers do not use a house system like this that is very specific. So for example, here, this little arrow indicates this ascendant. So this little baby would be a Leo ascendant. This is the Leo glyph, 14 degrees, 2 minutes. Now, some astrologers use whole sign houses, particularly Hellenistic astrologers. Both systems work. I prefer the specific accuracy of this, but especially if you're dealing with general astrology, not looking at, a specific individual's chart, but you're looking at your chart in a general term, you could go with whole sign houses. Let me change this to whole sign houses and we'll see what changes, right? So let's edit the chart and we're going to switch it up to whole sign houses. Update. I got to change it so it's not displaying all of my asteroids here. Here we go. Now, can you see how this has changed the way that everything is configured, right? Because it's kind of like a filing drawer, right? And they're filing all of the, Taurus planets in one house, and they're filing all the Aries planets in the other house, right? Versus the Cook, K-O-C-H style system that I typically use, which is a little bit more specific, right? But so this indicates by whole sign house, Leo on the first house cusp, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, Aries begins on the 9th house cusp, Taurus midheaven, 11th house of Gemini, and Cancer on the 12th. All right. This is all based on the time of birth. That's why the time of birth is so important, right? And as you can see, there are a lot of different variations for this. A lot of people use Placidus. I read a book a long time ago that convinced me to switch to the Cook, and I've been using it ever since, and I dig it. And that's not a great reason why, but it seems to be working for me. All right. So now we're back. And you see how that has kind of shifted some of the planets, given us a more interesting, I don't know if it's more interesting, but I feel like it's more accurate look of like what's there. Like, look at this baby. Got the North Node like right there applying to the midheaven. Interesting. All right. So when I say to you, oh, where is Pisces in your chart? Know where the Pisces area of life is. For this baby, Pisces begins in the middle of the seventh house. Now, I don't exactly see where, right? Here's Saturn Aquarius at 26 degrees. So it's somewhere in here, but it will be more, it will still be in the 7th house of relationship for this baby when it switches next month. But it will heavily influence this 8th house because Pisces, that's its domain. That's its like, this is my crib. This is my space. I'm in charge of this area, right? So, that is what makes it useful to know which house is kind of, it's the domain of that particular sign. All right. And this is just keeping it really simple. We're not going into rulers of one sign in another house and things like that. We're keeping it very simple here. But so just knowing what area of life it is for you. And then knowing, again, the degree of the house cusp helps for transits. So let's say once, when Uranus shifts into Gemini, it will definitely impact this soul, right? It's going to be up in their 10th house of career. But when it gets to 16 degrees, 10 minutes, it's going to kind of change its energy, right? And shift into that 11th house and bring in some new and different lessons, right? So, so keep in mind, I do understand it's challenging to memorize the glyphs. I remember when I did it, I used to just write them in order all the time. Even just memorizing the signs in order takes a while. I mean, maybe not for you, but I've got Mercury in Taurus. It takes me a while sometimes. But don't feel bad. You just have to memorize the glyphs. I particularly think the glyphs for the signs make a lot of sense, like the ram horns for Aries, the bull horns for Taurus, the duality of Gemini, the 2 little crab claws for Cancer, the big hair of Leo, the exactitude of the Virgo symbol, the balance of the Libra, the stinger of the Scorpion, the arrow, the aspiring arrow of the Sagittarian. Capricorn, I think, is definitely a difficult glyph. At least it took me a while to learn to write it. The 2 astral currents of the Aquarian sign, and then, of course, the 2 fish moving in a different direction, and the sign of Pisces. And then memorizing the planetary glyphs as well also takes a little bit of time and energy, but beginning to know them. And even if of course, it takes years to memorize your own chart, but even if you just keep a list of your aspects, that way when you read an article, you can maybe take a look and say, oh, wow, that's really interesting. Yeah, that's going to be occurring at 14 degrees of Pisces. My Venus is at 14 degrees of Pisces. And oh goodness, it's something's going to be happening at 14 Virgo, that's going to be directly across the sky from Pisces because they are natural oppositions. So that is my super quick tutorial on looking at the degrees of your sign and knowing the house cusps for your particular chart. If this was useful, helpful, comment below. I would appreciate it. And I'll see you next time. Namaste. Bye.